Hey, welcome back to Business 150, Introduction to Management. This is now video 4 in our module number 2. And in this particular video, we are looking at the systems and contingency approaches to management. These are two different approaches. First, the systems approach, and then second, the contingency approach to management. What do these words mean, and how are we to understand them, and why are we looking at them in the same video? Well, after this video, I'm hoping that you will be able to describe the systems approach to management, contrast it with the contingency approach to management, and then to discuss both of their contributions to management thought today. All right, so let's jump right in. The systems perspective. The systems perspective looks at an organization as a system of interrelated elements that functions together as a whole. Now, there's several different types of systems. An open system is one that interacts with its environment, and a closed system is one that does not interact with its environment. And typically, most organizations, of course, we look at as open systems. They interact and change their environment, and their environment interacts and changes the organization. And from that perspective, a subsystem is a system within another system. You can think of it, for instance, like a division or a department or a work team is a subsystem within the broader organization, which also operates as a system. Now, when we talk about the systems approach to management, what we're really saying is a viewpoint or a perspective that an organization and its environment are interrelated parts to be managed as a whole in order to achieve common organizational goals. And a couple of folks who thought and published on this systems approach. Chester Barnard believed that cooperative systems and the acceptance theory of authority help organizations to adjust effectively, especially in an external environment that's constantly changing, right? This is the world in which we live. Things are never the same way from day to day, and therefore being able to work with authority and cooperation helps for you as an organization to always be vibrant and alive within your external environment. Contrast that with W. Edwards Deming, who really took the notion of quality and developed that as the driver of profits. Not a cost of doing business, but if you aim to deliver quality, it will actually be the driver, the main thing for certain organizations in the marketplace. How do we know this to be true? One word: Toyota. The Toyota Motor Corporation took W. Edwards Deming's teachings to heart and transformed itself from a also-ran maker of small engines and small vehicles into what it means today. Arguably the global automotive brand with the lowest cost of ownership of any brand of automobile in the world today. So, when we look at organizations as systems, we can look at it as a looped system. An organization takes inputs from the environments, and you can see the 4 types of inputs we talked about all the way back in lecture 1, module 1 of this class, right? And through the transformation process of technology and operating systems and administration, control systems, it outputs into the environment products and services, as well as developing profits and losses and all sorts of employee behavior. It has outputs, right? And like any good system, there's a feedback loop. A lot of those outputs turn into inputs back in the machine. And therefore, we have 2 concepts in a well-working system. In a well-working system, we have synergy. Synergy is when 2 or more subsystems working together produce more than the total of what they might produce working alone. Synergy means that 1 + 1 equals 5 or 6 or 8 or 15 rather than simply 2, because the 2 systems working together complement each other in ways that working apart simply cannot. Now, that's when an organization is working well. When an organization isn't working well, it becomes stagnant. And then we have entropy. Entropy refers to a principle from your high school physics class, high school chemistry, where a system eventually declines and rusts. which means that an organization constantly has to be seeking to grow and improve. Otherwise, it's just going to become a dinosaur in decline. And I think that you understand this from a lot of different domains and examples in your own life. You have to constantly improve. You can't just stand still and admire your past accomplishments in the mirror. You have to always be hungry for growth, change, and improvement. And this is true with organizations as well. This is part of the systems perspective of organizations. Now we contrast that with the second approach we describe here as the contingency perspective on organizations. The contingency perspective realizes that, hey, this whole talk about systems, it kind of presumes a universal perspective that there really is a one best way to do, well, anything. And that if you can just simply develop and identify the one set of best practices, then you are going to just go to the races and things are going to be happy and fine for you. But the contingency approach realizes and acknowledges things change. That what's the most appropriate managerial behavior is driven by the unique situation and its unique set of characteristics. In fact, every organization is unique, and therefore the Motorola Corporation is not like Pfizer Pharmaceutical, is not like the Intel Semiconductor or General Electric or the Ford Motor Company. Every organization has its own set of uniquenesses, and therefore the contingency approach tries to bridge the gap between static theory and practice to say instead, there is no one best way to manage. The best way to manage depends upon the individual unique circumstance and correctly analyzing what the important elements of that unique event are and making wise decisions. So you can see here how the systems approach, the find the one best way, and the contingency approach, there is no one best way. It's contingent upon how you read the variables, how these two things stand in tension to one another, right? Taken by themselves, you could say that they're sort of in opposition to one another. And in real life, that's not really true. In real life, we understand that it is a lot of truth to the premise that organizations exist as systems that continue to do similar things. And yet we do understand as well from the contingency approach, despite the fact that many of our organizations work as systems, well-running systems, the system is constantly encountering changes in the environment. And if we're honest, even that system is never the same, exactly identical from day to day. Things change, the people change, the resources change, and therefore we have to take both a systems approach and a contingency approach in trying to figure out what's the best way to manage particular situations. So we hope that from this short description, you're able to describe the systems approach to management, contrast it with the contingency approach to management, and discuss how both of them contribute to our managerial thinking today. I hope that's helpful. More on this, as I keep saying, in the textbook for you to review as well. We'll see you in the next lecture.